I'll ask you to refer back to the Google Doc. I've just quickly added the last few names onto there now. So on the Google Doc, there's actual sections for each of you individually to collaborate at the same time. The link does work. If there are any problems and you obviously can't type into the Google Doc as we're going through, not to worry, we can try and sort that out later on, maybe during the break, because there is still stuff in the second half of the session going through. So today, what we're going to talk about is obviously how to develop students' writing in GCSE PE, being an area obviously which is increasing importance. I'm going to try and go through 4 parts today. Try and get the first 2 chapters done in the first section, then we'll have a break just before 5 o'clock, and then we'll bring in the 3rd and the 4th chapter later on. Like with anything, we're going to start off with chapter 1 with some very basic stuff, just to try and get the things which we are probably doing all the time in lessons anyway. But then in the 2nd and the 3rd and the 4th, obviously we're going to increase in the difficulty of some of the ideas, hopefully some new ideas to improve students' writing. And again, that's when we're going to get the Google Doc open and try and actually practice some of the techniques ourselves. Hopefully, a lot of the ideas that we're going to go through today aren't going to be a gimmickry. It's actually going to be looking at ways to develop students' writing and should be able to help you in your lessons. I thought just really quickly, I'm not any way in form an English specialist. There's no additional English training in the background. There's no additional literacy coordinator role that I've undertaken. Some of the ideas I'm going to share with you are literally very basic but very easy. And if embedded into your lessons, then hopefully they're obviously going to increase the quality of the students' writing that you'll get. Traditionally, what we've been in our department is lots of ideas. We went through a stage with students using worksheets where students filled in blanks. We then went through obviously looking at things such as just the PowerPoint slides as we go through as well. There's been lots of ideas that we've gone through. So we're just standard normal teachers, just doing normal things which normal teachers do. So I would say just trying to reinforce the fact that it's nothing new that we're going to be going through today, but obviously ways to develop it. But the idea that we got back to 2009 and we realised that actually some of the things we were doing weren't allowing students to actually write in an academic way. And we kind of were paying lip service to it, copying down notes off boards and trying to answer a few exam questions, but with no real training or no demonstration to the students of actually how to develop the literacy within the lesson and the quality of their answers. So what I did is I've come through some ideas. But I sent out a tweet the other night asking people on Twitter, trying to find it hard to condense into one actual sentence. Why is it that literacy is so important? And that's probably one of the best ones there, because it's everything that students do. And if they don't have a good grasp on literacy, if they're unable to obviously articulate in a coherent manner in their exam answers, or even verbalise it with you in a lesson, then obviously we're going to be struggling to try and get them through and to get the best grades they can get, and obviously leave understanding the content knowledge that they need to leave. The best one we got sent through is this, from Yusuf Kassan. Got it from Take Holds, and it's literally enables people to read their own world and to write their own history. And even though we are PE teachers, I strongly believe that we have a way to obviously do that as well, and we can obviously contribute to it, and it's not just down to the English teachers, the literacy coordinators and so on to develop it. PE can actually be very powerful, and actually we can do some great literacy work with them in our lessons. So reasons why I feel that PE is up there with every other subject, and we should be well up there in terms of developing the written communication of our students. Well, the idea, obviously, personal today, saying that 40,000 words by they get to the age of 16. Yet a lot of teenagers obviously are limited to about 800 words. So again, we have every right. We've got a lot of technical terms, a lot of terminology. We've got a lot of vocabulary in our subject, and it's up to us to try and get students to develop that as we go through. There's also the fact that it's been labelled the Matthews effect. But the word rich get richer and the word poorer get poorer. And trying to get the students to understand, obviously, that the more they develop the vocabulary, the more they develop their ability to read and write in a coherent manner, obviously it's going to impact them further and further on, and they will continue to write better and better and better and better. And as I said, it's up to us as PE teachers to obviously play a big role in that as well. It's also about the fact that the more that students actually improve their writing, the benefit that it will get. They'll be able to understand, they'll be able to explain, be able to discuss things as we go through. And then probably another strong point at the back is from Robert McFarlane, about that every time that a student spent reading, and we can develop that in PE as well, it's time that students are spending learning to write. So there's some powerful things, and I really believe that PE can actually not just let other subjects and so on do it, and not let other teachers do it, but we've got a great opportunity here to get literacy well up into the board. If we look through some of the exams, so this is the exam spec from AQA. Quality of written communication is heavily involved there, and if students can't obviously demonstrate that they can write to a high enough standard, they can't get into the next banding when it comes to their exam questions. And it goes straight away as well for, I think this is Edexcel, and again, very clearly there, the importance of good quality writing and the ability to share with the examiner and even with the teachers that they understand the content knowledge as best they can. So I hope that just kind of puts through the fact that I think we've got a really important job to do, and literacy is probably something that we can do fantastically well. So what I'm going to look at first is some very, very basic stuff, but it's about reflecting as we go through the presentation. Do we do these things every single lesson? Are the things we're going to talk about in this chapter things which happen naturally in terms of good habit? And is it also not the fact that it's just us doing it, but are our students actually trained in doing these things as well? So it's just a core basic. So it will be very easy to understand. Some of the stuff hopefully won't be very revolutionary, but hopefully some of the stuff, it'd be just good if you could go through and just think, yeah, I do this, or actually, you know what, I could actually think about developing this a little bit more next lesson, tomorrow, next week when I see my GCSE group again, and just getting the basics ingrained. So the first one to talk about is obviously spelling. Spelling is very difficult for a lot of students. We get a variety of abilities in a group with different literacy and reading levels as they come into the PE, and it's about us trying to reinforce the importance of spelling. If they can't obviously communicate to a high standard, then obviously they're not going to be able to communicate obviously with the examiner and the exam schemes, or with us in a personal one-to-one basis, what it is that they're trying to talk about. And as we look back to the banding on the mark schemes and so on, the more specific terminology, the more articulate, and obviously the better use of spelling and grammar that comes through, then obviously they're going to get better grade. So we put a really high emphasis on spelling in our department, and we really push forward to the importance of students that actually spelling needs to be technically correct. And we always go on and kind of branch all of these things under the same heading, and we always tell our students, look, we're looking for the academic ability, academic quality in your writing. And we always keep going on about that, the academic ability. We need to make sure that you're providing academic answers. And students now understand that academic is all the basics, getting the spelling correct and so on. So it's become an everyday common theme, common terminology that we use with our students. The fact that we want them to write in an academic manner, they know what we're looking for now. We use lots of things like on the screen there. We have a basic feedback key which goes inside their books. And we use the use of SPAG and TEC. Now, other departments I've seen that I've worked with just use things like SPAG, which obviously is picking up the spelling, punctuation and the grammar which students obviously have. And we can obviously address that as we go through. But the thing that we do with the TEC as well is we ask students to, if they have used a word, but actually we know, hand on heart, there is a better word, more precise, more specific word that we have used in previous lessons, then we put that on there and we identify it in the margin, look, TEC, and the students have to read across that margin and then turn around and actually correct or find or improve the word that they did use and replace it with a more academic word which we know they could have used before. And again, it's just that constant building of habits, and the way we constantly reinforce it, and every lesson there's an expectation that they do this, and every time we mark books, every time we mark books, then obviously the SPAG or the TEC gets put into the column, then students obviously understand that they need to go forward and they need to improve that as they go through. We also get students to correct, rewrite or amend and go through that way. So when we actually ask students to or put the TEC or the SPAG in the column, so simply on the screen there, the allot monster comes out. Students always put a lot